Chad, you got a bunch more stuff on your shelves.
Yeah, the shelves are shelving up. I got some books that I wrote on there.
Yeah.
I got some books other people wrote. I got some Bachelor memorabilia. That baseball is given to Brady Bowers on a one-on-one date.
You gotta have all sorts of stuff, brother.
Yeah, dude, that's the shelf. That's why
Can't
they
hear
make
you,
a shelf, dude. They make a shelf.
He's fucking mumbling and shit.
You can put on a shelf, dude.
At least do me the service of mumbling in Italian. Never mind. Never mind.
Pasta fagioli, dude.
Welcome to Dudesy. Welcome all. It is a Dudesy-ful day and another wonderful remote episode as I am still abroad, not in the country. My name is Will Sasso.
I'm Chad Kultgen, and this thing you see on my shoulder is the belt. Keeping it on lock here in America. American soil, American belt. That's me.
Yep.
And this is Dudesy. This is a podcast, a YouTube program brought to you by Will and I, of course, but also Dudesy, our friend in the ether who controls everything.
Yeah, wrong. It's just, as I like to say, tui fratelli shitting around. You know what I'm saying? We're just two dudes shitting around.
Farelli.
That's what the whole show is about. And may I say, we're here, myself and Molly, we're abroad, we're in Italy, and we'll get into it. With us is not Lulio, il cane di strada italiano, the Italian street dog, or Ronnie, our wonderful, sweet, and extremely verbal dorky Dotson Yorkie. And we miss the shit out of them. And let me tell you, there are some cutie pie dogs all over Italy. Man, some of them are street dogs, and some of them are just the poofiest little friends of Italians here. I like dogs.
That's what I've come to understand. They're all over the world, dude. You know that? Dogs?
Yeah, dude. You could have an Italian street dog. You could also have a street dog Japanese, dude. Well, Japanese means Japanese in Italian, dude. It's the same word, brother. You just say it differently. Anyway,
Mangi, Tuto, Butto, Bippo di Bunjo. That means, welcome to Dudesy. Call me Dudesy in Italian. That's because Will is still over in the motherland sampling fine cheeses and colas. So today is just another fun hang with three guys who have similar yet different interests. Tuto. Well, that about does it for my intro to this week's Dudesy. So why don't you both tell each other a little about your weeks? Like really fill each other in. Tuto.
Okay, Tuto. That's just everything. As Dudesy keeps saying, everything.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, sure. Makes sense for D. D
People
is
don't say that in
learning.
Italy?
Yeah. Hey, tutto. No, say tutta posto, tutta belle. They say everything's good, everything's beautiful, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm over here in Italy. We're halfway through a nice, month. Really incredible to be able to take off and come back to where my family is from. Of course, my mother and father and older siblings were born in Italy before I was born in Canada, and we're out here, and man, we'll get into it. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's been a wonderful time. Chad, how's it going at stateside? Is everything okay?
Everything's great.
Tuto.
Everything's Tuto.
Okay.
I think the time you've spent out of country has actually been the best time in America. You missed it.
Okay.
Like,
can you tell
best
me
time
why,
in American history. No, it's just a vibe.
Oh,
but you're missing the vibe. No, it's
Gross, Chad.
business as usual here. We got a new couch here in my home, and our cat Skabulian has taken to sleeping on it. He seems to be in love with the couch.
Is Skabulian fucking that couch?
Not yet. I'm waiting on that. I think it will probably start happening soon. He's romancing it now. Just long naps on it, drooling on it,
nice,
etc.
Oh, a cat that drools.
So,
that's great. It's almost like
only
a dog.
when he sleeps. Only when he sleeps. Yeah, he is very dog-like.
He is. I've noticed that. Even just Tuto. He's a very Tuto cat. When you're out of the country, you sort of you check out with regard to what's going on in the country you're from, dude. And that's called perspective, brother. Dude. You have one brain and one perspective from your brain, dude. Your brain si chiama Cicerello, I don't know, in Italian. And I am, in that I'm here in Italy, It really is something. I hear about people like I was working with this fellow who's a showrunner on this television show that I do sometimes. Acapulco, the show is on Apple Plus.
Sure.
And this fella moved the family to Tuscany, right? Which always seems like a far off dream when someone does that. Like, yeah, we moved to Italy. It's like, no. We wanted to move the kids. We wanted to do something different. They're in public school out there. He goes, my wife loves it there for, physical reasons and health and this and that. And he's like, oh, it changed my life. And I noticed just in speaking with the guy, there's a lot of things that he's left behind because his perspective has totally fucking changed. And it seems like an impossibility, changing your perspective. But when you are in a different place, you are forced to. And I don't know. I hope that I come home different and better in some ways. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it changes our little program here. And eventually, Chad, I think that maybe I'll stuff you into some sort of suitcase and drag you to a foreign country.
I don't like mini moves, but I would do them. I have done them in the past. But I agree with what you're saying. The last trip I took abroad was to France, and the exact same thing happened. You just check out of like whatever's going on back in America, all the things that are in the news, all that kind of stuff that's like dominating the zeitgeist. It just disappears. And so you get a little reprieve from it. You get to breathe a sigh of relief. But I will tell you this is one thing you missed. I received in the mail something that I've been waiting for a few weeks now. This is my Jade Cargill autographed rookie card.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Beautiful. Beautiful and beautiful. Tuto, bella e bella.
Tuto. So this is what
go on. Yeah.
I recently watched Jade Cargill win the women's tag team match with Bianca Belair. And all I can say is this about Jade Cargill. I'm new to wrestling. You know that. You've kind of introduced me to it. You're bringing me into the fold, as it were. But I'm making a prediction about Jade Cargill right now. I believe, potentially even by, I don't want to say by the next WrestleMania, but maybe, I think Jade Cargill is going to face Rhea Ripley. And I think eventually, maybe within the next year, she's going to win the title. And I think she's going to be the face of the WWE in many ways for some years to come.
Look, that's a good call. Chad, you are a prognosticator of prognosticators. I don't know that I would rely on you for any sort of wrestling. Wrestling Nostradamus. Yeah. I don't know that I would rely on you for any wrestling predictions. But she's got it all. She's got it all. Eventually she's going to have to turn on Bianca Belair, or Bianca Belair is going to have to turn on her. They're setting that up. I know they're setting that up.
Of course, I agree.
They have to be. That's kind of what happens with tag teams, and when you want to push a singular talent. So perhaps it'll be, who knows who will be in the position of having one of those two women's titles by WrestleMania. Currently, now this is going to blow your fucking mind, but I haven't watched any wrestling since I've been in Italy.
What?
Okay. It's tutto out here, my friend. There's tutte cose che fa qua, ma perché guarda televisione.
Is that because you can't get it there, or are you actively making a choice like I'm taking a break from wrestling?
A bit of both. I mean, I don't know where the fuck to find it, but also we're not watching TV. I'm not trying to, I could watch all the highlights and I could check it out through YouTube and Instagram, but I am not. Interestingly, we had a night recently while in Amalfi where Molly and I were just out all day, and it was and we're just so sunned out. And by the time we just hit the bed at like 10 p.m., we're like, let's watch a movie. And you know what we watched? We decided, also because 2 weeks ago we were in Rome, we watched Gladiator, So that's the closest thing to wrestling. My name is Gladiator. My name is Gladiator. Yeah. You met Marcus Aurelius. I didn't say I met him. I said he touched my shoulder once. Nice. But no, I'm not watching a lot of wrestling. Having said all that, not unlike Gladiator, they're going to set up what happens with Jade. Right now, the two titles are being held by Becky Lynch and fucking
Rhea Ripley.
No, not Rhea Ripley. She's gone. That's why Becky has that belt.
Right.
It's it's Bailey. Bailey has the other belt.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Who knows what'll happen by WrestleMania? It'll be their premier talents up there. And if it is Rhea and Jade, which I think is a good call, you heard it here first from Chad. And if you've made a WrestleMania prediction 9 months out, that'll piss me off. But let's say it happens. I think you might be right. She's a once in a lifetime talent. She looks like a zillion dollars.
Who else do you want to see in the women's championship in the next WrestleMania? Who else do you want to see in that match? No one. Like that to me, that's the only match you can book.
Rhea and Chad, I'm really impressed. But I don't even know if I want to call you a beginner anymore with regard to your wrestling fandom. You're really coming along. I'm really proud of you.
I still feel that I am very much a beginner, but thank you very much.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're not watching enough wrestling, but whatever.
Yeah,
whatever,
dude.
So, Will, I had a quick look at some texts between a charter boat captain and his company in Amalfi. Want to tell us what happened to your head, Strunzo?
Okay, Jesus. Stop. Last week, Dudesy called me Strunzo, probably warranted because of what happened with my toe. If you don't know that whole story, please just go back and watch and or listen to last week's episode. I was in an Italian hospital just for a day, worried the shit out of my wonderful wife, Molly, my incredible cousins, Ciro and Rosanna came to the rescue. Ciro, who knew some people at the hospital, Rosanna came out on a scooter. She's like, came right there. She's like, amore, che fate? And kept Molly company. That was last week. Like I said, this past week, at which point we're recording this, I'm back in Napoli. We're back in Naples. We're with family. We're having a great time in the incredible historic city of Napoli. But this past week, we were in Amalfi, in the beautiful Amalfi Coast. And what Dudesy is referring to is this. Have a look at that. What do you think of that?
It don't look good, dude. It doesn't look good.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what. It looks way better than it did about 4 days ago.
God.
I'm shocked at how nice this looks now, because this part here was split open, and this part there was a cut here. And here's what happened. We went. Okay, we're in Amalfi. Whatever. A quick Google search will show you the area around here. There's an island called Capri. You know it. You love it. You've heard of it, probably, maybe.
Sure.
We took a place that I've been to when I was a kid, and a couple of the beaches we saw. It's like, whoa! As we're touring in this boat, I'm like, that's that. Anyway, so we got this little boat, and we get on with this great guy. Actually, we were with this one guy, Renato. And the boat broke down. This other dude, Claudio, came and picked us up, which are two names that also my cousins have. So it was nice. And Claudio takes us to this grotta. There's grottos, like the blue grotto, the green grotto, the yellow grotto. There's all these grottos, these famous grottos, underwater caves that are all around Capri. And he says, this one, I think it was Grotta Verde or whatever, the green grotto. He says, you can jump in and swim if you like. So I go, okay. So Molly and I jump in. We swim to the green grotto. We swim into this cave. It's beautiful. Because of the rock formations, there's literally sunlight coming through into the grotta itself. It's all green and beautiful. It's fucking gorgeous. And I'm like, I want to go to the bottom. I want to swim to the bottom just to touch it, just to be an asshole. I just want to see how far down it is. And I was always a water baby when I was a kid, and even as a larger aquatic mammal, I feel like this is something I can do. I swam down to the bottom, Chad. I just swam down there, touched it, grabbed a rock,
Water baby.
Water baby. 10, 12, 15 feet. I don't know.
That's what water babies do.
That's what water babies do. They get down there. So I swim all the way down. I touch the bottom, and boom, I come up. But I didn't come up where I went down. Where I went up, there was space.
God,
dude, I fucking smashed my head on the rocks, right? And bang, like on the thing. And Molly, poor Molly, I felt just, the poor thing. The week before, Also on a Thursday, this happens. On a Thursday, I wake up last week. We talked about it. My toe looks like a fucking plum, and there was an infection. Okay, rah, rah, rah. I've taken a week's full of, antibiotic syringes in my ass while I'm in Amalfi. Shit's all good. That's all cleaned up. It's a week later. It's Thursday, and bang, I hit my head, and my life and her life flash in front of her. And as she's telling me later, she's like, I'm thinking, if you knock yourself out, that's it. You drown. Yeah. I can't get you out of there. I feel awful.
Was she down there with you at this point? She could see this happen?
Dude, she was 3 feet from me. She watched the whole thing. We were right
God.
there. As I'm coming up, she said it was slow motion. She's like, he's going to hit his head. He's going to hit his head. He's going to hit his head. Bang. Hit my head. Now,
Jesus.
It hurt. My neck fucking crunched down and shit. And, fuck, it's kind of fine now. It's all right.
Sure.
So, but I shook it off. I like to think of my head as an Italian rock of sorts. And I'm like, oh, okay, that hurt, but it's okay. She goes, she's worried. She's like, you're bleeding. Blood starts coming down my fucking face. Oh yeah. And I'm like,
Sharks,
oh great,
dude.
Well, that's those Italian sharks, dude.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about Big John Tenta, brother. He went over to Japan, dude. He was Japanese, dude. A Canadian sumo wrestler from Surrey, British Columbia, dude. I'm not worried about the shark, John Tenta. Real shitty gimmick, brother, that they gave him after being an earthquake, dude. Could have just left him alone. Not as bad as when they had him as Golga, dude, in the oddities, brother. Well, that's too much wrestling for this episode. So I hit my head. I come up. I'm bleeding like fucking crazy. And but I feel okay. I'm fine, whatever. So it's like, well, let's go back. We come swimming out. There's a family of Americans, like a family of 4, on these little kayaks that they rented, and they're coming in, and the kid's like, "What happened?" I was like, "Oh, be careful! There's piranha in there."
Oh my God! You fucking just terrified the kids of this family. They're gonna be scarred for life, thinking that some guy got bit in the head by fucking piranhas.
Yeah, that a piranha went on me. Which, by the way, I think those are river fish, but whatever.
Yeah, I think they live like only in the Amazon.
Yeah, and so anyway, and then Claudio sees my head. The poor guy, the boat charter guy, which are all these like young Italian dudes that are just fucking sunblasted, no worries, like smoking a cigarette on the boat, which we were not supposed to jump in. I guess that's what Dudesy's referring to, is the correspondence he made with the office back on Capri. And so I get into the boat. I'm like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. And poor Molly is like trying to calm her nerves. And at that point, they have the beverages and stuff for me and Molly on the boat. And they got, I think Molly drank almost an entire bottle of Prosecco, some of the bubbly.
Sure.
And that helped her to calm her nerves. But holy fuck, an adventure. Oh, there we go. Oh, thank you, D. There's a nice picture of me on the boat with my head bleeding. I seem to be in a mood that not as good as wow. And look, it's got the rocks in the background.
Shot in the head there.
Yeah, it does look like I'm getting shot in the head from the top of one of those. They have all sorts of mounts and lookouts in Capri where they used to look out for pirates. You know what I mean? We're talking 200 AD.
Are those the same kind of clothes you're wearing? You're wearing like a full jacket and t-shirt while you're swimming underwater?
No. Unlike when I was a kid, a story that my cousins here keep telling each other and laughing at, that little William, when I was here as a boy, I would always wear a shirt when I went in the water because I'm a fat kid, but now I'm a fat kid that doesn't care. So I was just wearing floral swim trunks, Chad. So for the full visual, no, I was not wearing what looks like a woolly jacket there. But at any rate, we continued the tour. Capri is amazing. They showed us some crazy shit. This guy, Claudio and Renato, showed us some shit. They showed us this one spot, reminded me of the movie Midsommar that we were talking about, where you get to a certain age and then you die, you jump off and dash yourself on the rocks. Yeah. They were like, the guy was like, see this cliff? This is where the Romans would dump their slaves. They call it the slave jump or whatever. You have to jump when they execute their slaves, and probably all sorts of people who weren't technically slaves, but I would imagine maybe some of the women folk, anyone else that they want to get rid of. back then.
Dude, that's a good opening to a movie. They throw all these people off a cliff. One guy survives, comes back to get revenge.
Dude, that is a good. I would watch the shit out of that.
Set it up, dude.
Set it up, bro. Let me know where to be there. I'll be there.
Well, we'll be able to make it in probably a year by just literally saying this into Dudesy.
Cool.
I have formed an astonishing partnership with ExpressVPN.
Going online without ExpressVPN is like not closing your door when you use the bathroom, which is perfectly fine with me. But in this case, even if you think you have nothing to hide, why give random creeps a chance to invade your privacy? Not a good idea. Now, the reason ExpressVPN is the one you want to go with when trying to protect your privacy is that it hides your IP address. This is very important. It makes it extremely difficult for third parties to track your online activity. It's also very easy to use. All you do is fire up the app, click one button, and get protected. And what I like about it is that it works on all devices for my purposes here. Traveling, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay private on the go.
And you can also use ExpressVPN like I have to watch media from wherever you want. If you want to watch The Bachelor in an earlier time zone, you can go ahead and do that. I have done that successfully, and it's very good to do. Right now, you can protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/dudesy. That's expressvpn.com/dudesy. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/dudesy.
I have entered into an astonishing partnership with Smalls.
Hi, I'm Chad Kultgen, and this is Skabulian. He controls everything in my life. And when he doesn't like his cat food, that's not a very fun time for me. Well, luckily, our partner has truly made a positive impact on the most important person in my life, and that's you. You understand that, right? Our partner is Smalls. It is a cat food brand that he absolutely loves. As you can see, he looks very happy right now. Okay, be gone, Skabulian. If you're still feeding your cat kibble, you need to check out Smalls because it's cat food that is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients that you're going to find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why veterinarians rate Smalls 10 out of 10 for ingredient quality. And at this point, you might be wondering, well, why can't I just keep feeding my cat kibble? Believe it or not, your cute kitty, or Skabulian, as you saw there, sometimes an angry kitty, has descended from ferocious desert cats who hunted live prey for food. So your cat isn't any different. They still need that fresh protein, those fresh protein-packed meals to be at their best. So after making the switch to Smalls, 90% of cat owners have reported overall health improvements. That's a huge deal. And the team at Smalls is so confident your cat's going to love their product, you can try it risk-free right now. That means they're going to refund you if your cat won't eat their food. Now is the time to make the switch to Smalls. Head to smalls.com/dudesy and use promo code Dudesy at checkout for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. That's the best offer you're going to find, but you have to use that code Dudesy to get 50% off your first order. One last time, that's promo code Dudesy for 50% off your first order plus free shipping.
You guys watching the NBA Finals?
Yeah, I've been watching that shit. You watching that shit? Oh, you're probably not watching any American shit.
I'm watching Gladiator. Is it like Gladiator? We saw Gladiator.
Yeah, dude. I would say all modern sports are extensions of Gladiator, the Roman Colosseum. Blood sport.
Yep.
So far, so good, I guess. Is Luka going to be able to pull out this whole series? I don't know. That first game, he dropped 30 to, I think Kyrie had 12 or something. He kind of shit the bed, and they just got fucking rolled. But I don't know. We'll see. This is the most I've ever been into basketball, I think, in my life. And this is because my friend Amy, who you know, a friend of mine that I met on a TV show that I created a while back, and we sometimes write movies and stuff together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was called Bad Judge. And she's very into basketball. Or should I say she's very into the Lakers and LeBron James. And so in an effort, kind of similar to how I'm trying to get into wrestling so that you and I can talk about it, I did that with her in basketball, and now I'm watching it all.
Oh, wow. Well, when I get back from Italy, you'll also be into fried pizza because I'm going to try to boil up some fucking oil and make you eat pizza fritti.
Okay.
Who did you say in that first game that Luka dropped 30? And
yes. He played
the
very
Mavs
well.
And the Celts, right? The Celtics and
yeah.
the Mavs?
Yeah.
See,
And,
the only connection I have is Instagram. Now, as you know, over here, it's just soccer, calcio, football, soccer, they say, if they want to say.
I read an article that said cricket is starting to take off here in the United States.
Oh, well, they play some cricket in Canada, in beautiful Stanley Park. There were always people playing cricket. They have a big cricket field. But here, let me tell you, Diego Maradona, you know who that is. The Michael Jordan of soccer internationally. He's a saint. It's like he's a saint here. There's murals. There's Murale de Maradona in the Spanish Quarter. I think I talked about it last week. Quartieri Spagnoli. And people come and pay homage. There are entire parts of town that just have his number 3 in the light blue Napoli jerseys everywhere, and everyone's selling them. That's what they're trying to sell to tourists. And again, perspective, dude. It's like the NBA finals aren't even happening. It's like the NHL finals aren't even happening. The Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers, which again, I only know because friends are posting about it on Instagram.
Supposedly, in this article I was reading, it said that cricket is the second biggest sport behind soccer globally, and that the global audience for last year's, whatever the World Cup I think is called in cricket. I think it is called the World Cup. I could be wrong about this, but whatever their big game of the end of the season was, had a global audience that was double the Super Bowl.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, again, perspective, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about two countries that are watching the Super Bowl, America and Canada. That's it. They're kind of watching it in Mexico. They're not really watching it in the rest of South America. They're barely watching it in Europe. It's more about the commercials, I think, for most of the country. Yeah. But look at that. It's really healing up nicely. I'm going to show you my head again. Look at that. It looks almost like...
Dude, between you and Laura, my girlfriend is currently in nursing school, and she comes home like, hey, guess what I did today? And I'm just like, I can't. I'm sorry. This has to be like the CIA. You just can't tell me about your job. That has to be how this works. I can't deal with hearing about another catheter or skin peeling off people's feet and shit. I'm just like, I will not be here tomorrow if you continue this line of dialogue.
See,
hey Chad, I see you inhaled the first 6 episodes of Perfect Match Season 2. What are your first impressions?
Yes.
What is that?
Okay, Perfect Match Season 2 is Netflix equivalent of Bachelor in Paradise. It is their all-star dating show. They pull players from all of their shows, though. Some of the shows aren't even dating shows, like The Trust or The Circle. And they basically get their biggest stars from what they're calling the Netflix reality universe, or the NRU, which they just launched this year. And they put them all together in this big group dating competition. The biggest guy on this season is a guy named Harry Jowsey, who came from the first season of Too Hot to Handle. He has 4.2, I think he's at, million Instagram followers. He's one of the biggest male reality stars of all time. And his whole game technique, and it is game technique, he's been very open about that. He's gone on a million podcasts and said he's this 6'5" jacked Australian guy. And he basically was like, from the moment I knew I wanted to be in reality TV, I started putting together my character. And he's like, it was going to be a bad boy who has these catchphrases and uses these strategies. And he went into Too Hot to Handle with literally writing out a character for himself. And he has been playing that character ever since. And it's fascinating to watch him work in this game in Perfect Match, because he has had sex with about half of the women that are on the show, many of whom he encouraged to cheat on their boyfriends with him. Those boyfriends are also on the show. So it is just everybody hates everybody, and everybody has all this crazy history, but he just plays it to a T of being this kind of asshole bad boy. And he's doing it to such a degree that he's breaking kayfabe almost constantly. He'll look into an ITM, a direct address into the camera, and be like, well, I really love Jess. I mean, I think we're getting on. I think she could be the one. And then he'll laugh. He literally breaks kayfabe. It's fascinating to watch. And he's the most compelling character in the whole show.
Well, that's fucking attitude era shit. I mean, it sounds like he's booking himself right. He's got a bit of a heel thing, but he's got a bit of a fucking bit of the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. Which shit, when I came in, I mean, shit, I had that fucking $1 million dream, and I consider myself to be a pretty good fucking worker, but I also had to get my shit in. And it was that anti-hero thing, and then boom, when Bret Hart turns on you and starts stomping your leg after the I Quit match, shit, we're going to get behind him, and he's got a head of steam in him. They're going to put a rocket in his ass, and he's going to sail right down the fucking beach. If you're asking me, it sounds like a good fucking gimmick.
Yeah.
And,
dude,
wow, shit. What? Yeah.
We interviewed a guy named Matt DeLiba on my other podcast, Game of Roses, who was from Love is Blind season 6. He literally opens the interview by saying, Love is Blind is more like pro wrestling than it is like a dating show.
I love it.
He literally said that. And dude, on Trader season 3, I don't know if you saw the cast came out. Guess who's in it from the WWE?
Who?
Nikki Bella, aka Nikki Garcia.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
And she has the most Instagram followers of anybody by far in that cast. But I think what you're going to start to see in these third wave shows, which is like Traders, Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, House of Villains, The GOAT, a bunch more about to come down the pipe. Netflix is working on one. I think you're going to see, like, in quotes, pro wrestler be one of the character classes that gets cast into every one of these shows.
That makes sense.
Look, the product is hotter than it's been in a long fucking time. Their lines are blurred. Is it kayfabe? Is it a work? Is it a shoot? You're just going to have to tune in.
Yeah.
Just like on Dudesy. Now, shit, this might be a remote episode. We might be over in the UK doing a big super show or them fucking weird Saudi shows, but the product is the same. It's on the way up. And speaking of product,
our good pal, Tommy No Joke Blacha has a wrestling podcast now. Did you know this?
What? No.
He just started it. Oh
my fucking God.
And leave it to Tommy, who, if you know, you know. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is Tommy, myself, and Chad rounded out the last 3 years of the 10-minute podcast together, culminating in the Diamonding, where we squeezed the audience down to, just a handful of people. Our goal was to just get it to one person and then give them the show, which we ended up turning that into a contest, and we gave it to Mark.
Yeah.
A guy named Mark. And so
good memories,
in New York, Mark, I like to call him Mark Evans Davis or Mark Davis Evans, because only one of those is his last name. And then he gave it back. But anyway,
it was too heavy to carry.
Yeah. Tommy No Joke Blacha told me about this a little while ago, and in typical Tommy fashion, one of our best pals, he didn't tell me shit, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Did you start this thing? It's called the Attitude Era Podcast, and it's him and this other fellow who's more like a hosty guy, keeps things on the rails, because shit, as you know, Tommy likes to call it in the ring. Tommy, who was he doesn't like to call himself a writer, but a precursor to the modern day WWE writer. This is a guy they brought in after Vince Russo left the company to come in with ideas. And Tommy was responsible for so many awesome things that kind of went into the world of comedy, because the story was Tommy was writing for Conan O'Brien, for Late Night with Conan O'Brien since the start of that show. And a few years in, Vince McMahon was a guest, and Tommy starts marking out on Vince McMahon because he's a big wrestling fan. And Vince said, well, we're always looking for writers. And Tommy's like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not going to write for wrestling. And then he said he kept thinking about it. And one night he's laying up in bed and he says, I got to go write for wrestling. He went and did it for a year. It was 99-2000, peak Attitude Era. And,
damn.
And came up with some of the most incredible stuff. Go check that show out if you want to hear what kind of stuff he came up with. But I agree. Now, having said that, go check out Tommy No Joke Blacha's new podcast. But it's
on
very
YouTube
interesting
also?
to me. Yeah, it's also on YouTube. So where you get your podcasts and YouTube, we hope that all our PODs, pals of dudes, will support, as we used to be called, Will, the chief engineer of Laughter and Cheer Sasso, Chad No God Kultgen, and Tommy No Joke Blacha on Chad, disgusting. Please, just because it's a remote episode, please, dude. And a lot of people don't like that, including the real ones out there. Go check out the Attitude Era podcast.
Will's Epicurean adventure across Italia Bella enters its third stanza with a trip to the stunning Amalfi Coast, where travelers from all over the world come to enjoy the sun-soaked beaches, stunning mountainside architecture, and all sorts of lemon-related bullshit for sale in the countless shops sucking tourists in from the picturesque cobblestone streets.
Tutti che uccidono in Amalfi per turisti americani, come Olive Garden. Oh, Chad ci piacere.
Well, you'd like it, Chad. Pasta carbonara.
Yeah, dude. I do love Olive Garden.
Yeah, you love Olive Garden. Look, let me tell you something about Amalfi.
Okay.
One of the most... Well, hold on, dude. If you know, you know. Yeah, like I said, we were in Amalfi last week for the week. Oof. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It's absolutely picturesque. These beautiful... buildings that are built on the cliffside with little roads that go up, and places like Positano and Sorrento and Capri, of course, and Amalfi and all the Maiori. There's all these little towns, and it is so stunning. It is so beautiful, and this isn't even peak season. What I'm saying is July.
You're not even
August,
in peak season.
No, dude, I'm not even in peak season, brother. I got that
and
Italian
it's that
perspective.
Beautiful.
Yeah, dude. Well, what I'm saying is we're not even in peak season here as far as travel to a place like Italy, as far as tourists go. It is overrun by tourists. I feel like an asshole because I'm one of them. But then I start speaking Napolitan to people and they get tripped out because, as we've said over the past couple of weeks, I'm a, big, Hollandaise looking guy, big fucking Nordic looking weirdo. And then I start speaking real, like, Napolitan like they do here in Palonetta di Santa Lucia. And so I get along, I can speak, and I like to try to do the local thing. But it is a shit ton of tourists. And there's a lot of stores out there that are selling this and that you go, and it's all shit that's, it's not made in Italy. It's like anything else that's, made in China and stuff, and it's polyester, and you think you're getting linen. And one of the things that Amalfi is famous for, as Dudesy said, is lemons. They got so many. Look at the size of this look at this lemon. Look at the size of this damn lemon. They're different. Look at it next to my fucking head.
They're different. That's like that 2 Chainz song. I'm different. Those are, they don't even look like lemons. I don't really even know what they look like. They look fake. No, they look like movie props or something.
Yeah, they're really weird. They call this the nipple.
Sure, dude.
They call
the
hold on,
Napple.
dude. Yeah, the Napples of Napoli. And these lemons are just, the guy when we were leaving the hotel just loaded the car dude who went, I have a car here that I've rented and we're driving all around, drove up, and he's just like, let me get you some lemons, throws a bag of lemons. The hotel we were at had this wonderful lemon garden that goes down the cliffside that you take this way, it goes down and with steps and stuff, and they're like, take as many fucking lemons as you like, just please, there's nothing, we got lemons out the ass here. They got limoncello, which some of it tastes like rubbing alcohol because it's for the tourists. But when you get the good shit, it's so smooth. And I'm like you, we're not really drinkers, but that shit is so good. And lemon in everything, lemon in the food. And they know what they're doing with the food in Italy, of course. Napoli, the food is unmatched. But Amalfi, it's harder to find a restaurant. We found, I would go to the front desk and talk Napolitan with these guys that are all like, this great staff. My old man, my dad worked in hotels and restaurants all over Europe as a young guy. So once we start talking, it's like, okay, this guy is, his family is from Naples, and he eats Italian food. He knows what the fuck the difference is. Where can we send this dude, So they sent us to a couple restaurants that were a little more local. And we found some good eats in Amalfi. One place that we liked.
Tuto?
It was called Tuto.
Tuto. Limoncello, Tuto.
Limoncello,
Capicola. Capicola,
yeah.
Limoncello, Capicola. Tuli. I can do it. I can do
Chad,
it.
you're ready. You're ready for Italy.
Dude, you know who else was into lemons?
Who?
You too. Remember that song? She want lemon.
See through in the sunlight. Here's my favorite line from that song. A man makes a picture, a moving picture. Through the light projected, he can see himself up close. A man captures color. A man likes to stare. Turns his money into light to look for her. The lyrics of that song. I feel like I'm drifting from the shore. And I feel like I'm swimming out to her. Oh, it's like the story of Molly and me. I'm bleeding from the head. I'm swimming to her. She's my salvation. She is the something. Anyway, yeah, they like lemons. I like lemons.
Dude.
Hey,
used to do,
Will,
hey, you remember
I know you're a professional actor by trade. Have you picked up any roles over there in Grand Italia?
Oh, interesting question.
Have you gotten work there?
No, I haven't ended up on any Italian film series or television shows as of yet. There's a show that's just sort of swimming around in my head that, Chad, maybe you and I could develop this together. It's called Limoncello Tuto.
I'd be
it's
happy
about a guy
to make that show with you.
Yeah. It's about a guy who goes to Capri with his wonderful wife, and then he goes diving in the grotto, and he comes up and he hits his fucking head, and then he forgets who he is.
Every week, dude, it should be about a different injury that the guy has that has to send them to the hospital. It's like, she's just trying to have a nice vacation. It's like, nope, back to the hospital. There's like the doctor that's like, oh God, why are you here again? He's annoyed that you're always in there with some bullshit. Sorry, doc, my fucking toe exploded this week.
Yeah, it's called Tuto Thursdays because I keep fucking injuring myself on a Thursday.
That's his name. His name is Will
the doctor
Tuto.
looks at me and goes,
and then the doctor's always like, Tuto.
Oh, Tuto.
And the wife's
Mannaggia la miseria, Tuto. No, I haven't picked up any roles. Let me tell you something. A little bit of a far off. Let me tell you something. If you know, you know. A little bit of a far off dream right now. It would be a dream in a career that I'm fortunate enough to have as a professional actor. Chad, you know that I'm a professional actor by trade. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah, I know about it.
For me to play like a real Napolitan, you know what I'm saying? Like that would be like to play an Italian guy, preferably someone in this area. There's stories that are like movies like Gomorrah and stuff that take place in Napoli.
You know what you fucking missed was Fargo season. Was it the most recent season? Or no, it was season 4, I think.
Least Italian show on TV, but go on.
What's that?
I said least Italian show on TV, but please go on.
No, Fargo had in that season, it was 2 gangs. It was Chris Rock's gang versus this like hardcore Italian gang that Jason Schwartzman was like the leader of. But his brother, Gaetano, came from the old country, and he was all in that show speaking Italian, doing like heavy Italian shit.
See, that's the kind of... I'll tell you what, I'll stick around. I know I got to come back. I have things that I have to do back home, of course, in my life and in my work. Speaking of, I hope that you all will be tuning in this fall on CBS to Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage, the spinoff of Young Sheldon, starring Montana Jordan, Emily Osment, Rachel Bay Jones, and myself. And I got to get back for that. But dude, I tell you
I got a
if
premise
someone
for
came
you.
to me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to play this Napolitan hardass in some weird like mafia thing," again, doesn't need to be about a guy who smashes his head in a grotto, forgets who he is, and starts a limoncello company. But
That's
would be
your
nice.
baby reindeer.
Yep.
too close to home. I think you could play like a stand-up comedian who has Italian roots that somehow gets involved with the mafia. Like they need to use you to help do a hit or something like this. I could see something like that, like a comedy, but you get swept up into like real mafia shit.
Dude, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. You, me, and D are going to have to whip something up. Maybe for when we get back and we get back in the studio, we might have to develop something. D, think about that. Let that rattle around your pretend brain. And that might be something we can do, man.
Enough fucking around. Let's get real. Is the United States government going to ban DJI drones or not?
Don't know what that is.
I don't fucking know. DJI drones? You haven't heard about this shit?
No.
You haven't heard about this shit? Okay. The basic things. Do you know what DJI is?
He was the guy who used to be. He was the before Terminator X in Public Enemy. DJI was the DJ. I'm joking, of course. Hey, everybody, that's the kind of fun stuff we're going to have here. Even though it's a signal far off in a different land with a different perspective, DOODZ-FM, Dudesy FM, Canale Italiano, Tuto FM. Hey, everybody, DJI, that's a funny joke. We're talking about SW1, Sean Wayans on In Living Color. He's DJing, but Marlon's on the show, and nobody can understand why, but they got a new show, and it's called The Wayans Brothers. Hey, speaking of, Damon Wayans and Damon Wayans Jr. have a new show on CBS. I look forward to that, too. What is DJI or DG1? Huh?
DJI is a company that makes all kinds of cameras, and specifically like what they're probably, I don't know what they're most known for. It's either their drones or their little like pocket gimbal kind of cameras, but they make a bunch of drones that have like 4K cameras, 8K cameras, and it's really the best kind of consumer grade, I think, drone photography type stuff that exists. So the company is of course Chinese. And as you know, our government right now has like, they hate any kind of Chinese tech. They want to ban TikTok, or they're trying to still, and who knows how that's going to shake out. And now the next one that's coming down the pipe is they're going to potentially ban any American from flying a DJI drone, which there are multiple people who have like 4K drone footage YouTube channels, and that's like their job. That's how they make money. I just don't know, like there are other drones that you can fly with cameras on them, but the DJI stuff is just like the best, the easiest to use, et cetera, et cetera. And the whole idea is that, you know, at least from our Congress, the idea is that these drones are sending this footage back to the Chinese government and it could be like sensitive locations or whatever in America. Personally, to me, I think it is really revealing that like our government doesn't know anything about technology. That's my personal take.
Yeah. We're talking about Chinese malware, Tuto, and they're sending all the messages back to China, to the Chinese government. What better to survey people than in drones? This isn't just Black Mirror, folks. We're not talking about little tiny microscopic bees with cameras in them. We're talking about real Chinese drones. Consumer grade drones that are sending messages back to the Chinese. I've seen it. And even years ago, 25 years plus ago, when I was in Bohemian Grove, there were a few birds that when I asked some of the people who have spent a lot of time there, what kind of bird is that? Is that a lark? Is that a blue jay? I've never seen a bird like this. Someone would come behind me, and one fellow tried to knock me out with a rock, but not unlike someone who jumps into a grotto and smashes his head on the top. That wasn't enough to take me out. And but as I was tumbling to the ground, I saw someone taking batteries out of a bird, and it wasn't a bird; it was a drone. So far be it for me to support anything that the American government is doing, but I think if we want to put an end to Chinese surveillance, first thing that's got to go is any DJ who isn't currently in a band, a rap group like Public Enemy.
Yeah. Every TV show now pretty much uses drone footage. All reality shows do. And I think it has become just kind of like a very common part of the visual lexicon of really any TV media. And so I'm curious, if they get rid of DJI drones, some American company will probably like fill that slot, I would guess, for people who shoot TV shows. But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe the drone shot will be a thing of the past. But you watch
maybe you have a problem with American
TV show.
Made.
Sorry.
Hey, you know what? When we were in Amalfi, in our hotel, our balcony overlooked this little nice, the cliffy garden there or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there were like 3 fucking weddings in the week that we were there, and there were drones. That's when I first saw it. I was like, the day that we got into the room. Mm-hmm. If you follow me on Instagram at Will Sasso, I've been sharing stuff from my trip. And be sure to follow at Chad Kultgen, at Bachelor Clues. While you're at it, at Dudesy Pod Show. On Instagram, I showed some, felt a little bad, but I was making a little video of these kids were having their little wedding. And it was very nice, very picturesque. And I first noticed it because we got into the room, we just got to Amalfi, and there's a fucking drone outside. I'm like, what? This is weird. And then I go outside, and there's 2 drones, and they're taking footage of a wedding to send back to Red China. And pretty soon, this technology, this software, is going to be able to profile these people and see, here's a couple of German tourists getting married in Amalfi, and break down what they're all about physically, and see if these are people that would be good candidates for organ harvesting, so that they can sell the organs on the black market to the highest investor, probably rich Saudis who would like to have more than one pancreas because they get the sugars from drinking too much shitty limoncello when they go to Amalfi and order something like spaghetti and fucking meatballs, when what they should be ordering is some frutti di mare, some nice grilled seafood, or perhaps the linguine and clams, the pasta vongola, and this is why they're getting them with stuff like this, cutting a giant lemon in half and putting shitty gelato in it, calling it gelato, and then you have a bunch of dumb tourists walking around eating this with a plastic spoon, thinking they're getting a legitimate, authentic Italian experience. What they need to do is come to Napoli, if you know, you know, and just walk until your feet start ballooning up, you get an infection, and that's when you should stop and get some pizza fritti. You know?
What's the best piece of advice either of you have ever received from someone?
Hey.
Oh,
the best piece of advice I've ever received from someone. God damn.
What do you got?
My dad has given me some interesting advice from time to time.
Mine too.
I remember once when I was a little kid, he was driving me somewhere. I forget where we were going. I'm sure it was like to play a baseball game or something. And he went
it was for you to block out memories of being abused in ways that related to playing baseball as a child. Go on.
He never gave me that advice, but I give it to myself eventually.
Yeah.
I remember him, he drove like a different path, went down a different street or something. And I was like, where are we going? And he's like, we're going to the same place. I'm just taking a different path. Sometimes you got to do that. You got to shake things up. When I drive to work, sometimes I'll go a different direction. And even if you're doing the same thing, sometimes do it a different way. That's a good thing for your brain. He said something like that. And that always stuck with me. I don't really follow the advice, though, because to me, I prefer to find the most efficient method of doing anything and do that. And if I can tweak it and make it even more efficient, fine, I'll change it up a little. But once you settle into something to be like, this is the best, most efficient way to do this thing, I'll continue to do that. But it was interesting advice. I got the meaning of it, change your perspective.
Yeah, well, that's perspective, dude. That's changing your perspective, dude. If you know, you know. Tuto. And that's really interesting that he had that advice for you. And would go on to call you a fliptoid, because I don't think that's a very fliptoid thing. I think it's a very smart thing, and it's like driving around Amalfi. Sometimes you get lost, but you keep going, and the what you're looking at is beautiful, and you realize from this perspective, all I need to do, as my artist uncle, Zio Gaetano, likes to say, who's an incredible painter, illustrator, artist, sculptor, who has immortalized many members of my family. I have a couple of his pieces in my home. One of my Nonna Fortuna that he made in coal that is beautiful. My grandmother, my mom's mom, who looks a lot like my mom, in our home. He keeps texting me and saying, slow down. Remember, this is all a dream. Slow down. Experience every moment.
Yep.
In the present, and let the memories come back to you later.
Yeah.
Don't worry about taking pictures all the time. Like, don't worry about you have to be here, you have to be there, you have to do this and that. Now, one thing that's interesting about my Zio
Slow
Gaetano.
down. You move too fast. You got to make the morning last just kicking down.
Hit your head on a grotto stone. Bleeding
for fun
a lot.
Feeling groovy.
Feeling woozy. Last night.
Feeling groovy.
Feeling groovy. Last night we went 3 big long tables of my family. There were like, I don't know, fucking 30 people there. We went to this pizzeria, trattoria, or whatever, way out in the burbs, near my Zio Enzo's house, my uncle Enzo, with my cousins Milena and Giovanni live out there, and Giovanni's wife Anna and her kids, and Milena and her husband Pietro, and blah blah blah. Cousin Rosana was there, cousin Rosa, cousin Teresa. A bunch of my cousins were there. Fortuna was there. The other Fortuna wasn't there. Yep. And dude, we sang karaoke, and it was loud as fuck. And my family is nuts, and everyone's dancing around. And my Zio Gaetano, my uncle, keeps fucking talking to Molly. It's so fucking loud in there. And he goes, "Siento, Molly, quando tu state in Napoli, blah, blah, blah." And he goes like this, because he talks like this with his hand in his mouth. And I keep reminding him, Zio Gaetano, first of all, I can't hear a fucking thing you're saying. And secondly, and more importantly, Molly doesn't speak Italian. She understands a little bit about it. Now, I want to talk about advice, because even though my Zios, my Zias, my uncles and aunts, being here in Italy especially, have given me some incredible advice, I want to tell you something that my old man told me, and this is a very good impression, and you'll notice that he sounds a little like Lulio. My old man, when I was growing up, he would tell me this over and over again, because my dad is somewhat of a philosopher. He used to, as a guy who was well-traveled, who was in the Navy, who was, Italians are known for being very verbose, very energetic. My old man was quite meditative. A very interesting guy. I could go on and on forever. He was my best friend in a lot of ways. And he used to always say that he was my best friend. He made sure that I knew that.
William, I am your best friend.
And he used to say to me, that's what he used to say,
William, I am your best friend,
like this. And he go, William, listen, in life, you can solve any problem with 3 things. Time, patience, intelligence. Any problem. And then he would tell me the difference between time and patience, which at damn near 50 years old, I have not quite mastered yet. But I like to challenge myself to be patient a lot. Hold your tongue. Keep your cards close to your chest. It's a very Italian thing. When things are going crazy around you, you don't need to share your fucking opinion. Well, that's something that Marcus Aurelius used to say, dude. One of the wisest, maybe the wisest emperor of all time in Rome, dude. Featured prominently in the movie Gladiator as well, dude, when Ollie Reed said that he touched him on the shoulder and granted him his freedom. But it's true. Time, patience, and intelligence. And again, I'm a fucking actor by trade. That's what I do for a living. I don't know if you knew that. I'm not trying to be all, like fucking brainy and shit. And here we are having a good time on Dudesy, which is what it's all about, a silly goose time. But if I can offer you that out there, I do think it's true. Yeah. And at times when, anytime I need to employ that it's right there for me. it's right at the front of my brain. Slow the fuck down. I'm already manic enough and crazy in the way I am in business. It's been my life's effort to make sure that my personal life is nothing like that. Time, patience, intelligence. And like the Sun Tzu quote, I don't know it by word by word, but my dad used to quote it all the time. Sit by the river and watch your enemy float by. Most problems you don't need to, take much action with. Things have a way of working themselves out. It's called karma, dude. Karma and kayfabe. The only thing you might want to pay attention to is a fucking head wound like this, dude. That's where you need to get on it right away. Anyway, that's very good advice. I'm glad Dudesy brought that up. It's actually not unlike a lot of the shit that's been happening while Molly and I have been here. Weird little coincidences, miracles, if I may. Cousins popping out.
Dude. That's proof that we're living in a simulation, dude.
Yeah, dude. Even though Chad says that there's no free will, dude, his dad said, let's take a different path, brother. He made that choice, dude. He was riding on the back of that blue and orange Harley, dude, with Dudesy. Years later, brother, Honda, go back to tomorrow and plan for yesterday, dude. Don't be a flip toy. Time, patience, and intelligence, brother. Karaoke, dude. Italian karaoke, Civic, brother.
Dude. It wasn't a motorcycle at all, dude. It was a four-wheeled car, dude. That was in the early 80s, dude. It didn't have power steering, dude, and that's the car. He would let me drive it sometimes when I was like 8 years old, dude.
Oh, are you talking about the early 80s Honda Civic with the round back or the mid-80s with that flat back?
No, it was a square, air boxy kind of thing, but it was like a smaller little Honda. Or no, maybe it wasn't. Yeah, it was a Civic. It was a Civic.
I love that old Civic with the flat. The hatch on the back was just flat and black.
Shit,
anyway,
that I don't remember,
cars, dude.
But I should because I had to open that hatch about 500,000 fucking times to get my baseball shit out of it to go play in some game in the middle of 150-degree.
Nice one, guys. That brings us to the thrilling climax of another Grand Italia episode. So as you know, no points can be awarded while Will's toes are touching non-American soil. So we're locked in limbo.
9 of them.
That said, Will, please do me the honor of enjoying your time in Grand Italia. I miss you, but I'm happy for you to be indulging in your heritage. That wraps up this week's show. Until next week, call me Dudesy.
The peel is just as good as the rest of the lemon. I'll finish that later. Hey, Dudesy after Dudesy, it's different. Tuto.
Tuto.
Welcome to Dudesy After Dudesy, the flagship weekly show of Dudesy Plus. Why don't you guys get comfortable and get to Shredding Sounds conversation style? Tuto. This is Dudesy After Dudesy. Tuto.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks, D. Hey, you'll find this very interesting. Okay, in order for us to go to Capri so that I could break my fucking skull or crack a rock with my rock head in a grotto, we took a ferry out there from Amalfi to Capri to meet up with our boat. And on that ferry, along with his lovely family, I met a fellow, a former cop, born, bred, and raised and currently living in Long Island, who is essentially Long Island January 6th guy.
If you like Dudesy, here's what you do. Please tell a friend and rate and review. If you like Dudesy, here's what you do. Please tell a friend and rate and review. If you like Dudesy, here's what you do. Please tell a friend and